So I'm here at Guitar Center, and one of the first things I need for this is a nut. As you can see, there is none. So they have lots of nuts here. Most of them are for guitars, but there's two I found for the bass. They're both the same price. Thing is, this one says it's for a J style bass. Get over there where I can see you without the squishies. Okay. This one says it's for a P style bass. When I put them side by side, let's find a place to do this. Oh, stop getting stuck. Really? For the life of me, I don't see any difference between them. And they're both the same price. So I don't know what to do. My man Ron is over there working with somebody else right now. I'm waiting my turn to talk to him. So we'll see what he says both about that and about a couple of other questions I have. One thing I did establish, they don't have any bass pickups here in the store. I have to look online. So I'm going to have to talk to somebody and get a recommendation for what to put in this thing. Okay, we're in the car headed home. I spent about 20 minutes with Ron talking about parts. Turns out the peanut is what I need. I wouldn't mind some peanuts right now. I'm rather hungry. But the difference is it's wider. He said I'll still have to put a little bit of wood underneath it to raise it up to the level where it'll hold the strings, but it will do the job. And they had one set of tuners for a bass, and it is two to a side, whereas this headstock is four in a row. So he showed me how to fix that. It was absolutely incredible, and I'll show you when we get home. Anyway, we have the nut, we have the tuners, and I got a jack.
You're welcome. God bless you guys.
This is the long kind that's supposed to go through wood, and that's because I don't intend to have this thing plugging in from the front. I hate that. So I'm going to drill a hole from the bottom up into that cavity and put this jack in it. We'll see that when it happens. But so now we're headed home. Quick as I get there, we'll get started on this stuff. Okay, here's what we have so far. Here is the nut that I bought. Now, I'm going to put that aside for now because I'm going to have to cut a little piece of wood to put there to raise it up a little bit. This is just ever so slightly too low in profile, and so Ron told me just glue a little piece of wood in there, glue this to it, and we should be good. So we'll do that later. Right now, let's take a look at these things. Starting with making that thing stay open. So here are our four machines here. Step one is going to be to find out which ones we need to change. That means we look at these holes back here and we try to see what needs to go where. So I'll just take one here and start. That is not right. This one, okay, the long end is going to need to go that way. The other thing I'm going to discover here real quick, I don't know how visible it's going to be, but some of these holes don't appear to line up exactly. We'll have to deal with that after we finish altering these other machines. So those are the two that fit the way they need to. Now let's get to modifying these others. I actually wanted to put Ron on camera while he was explaining this stuff to me, but he was up to his elbows in projects. There were several people standing around waiting their turn. The background noise was really high, and so never mind. We'll just do this here. So, step one is pop this cover off. I have not done this. I have not practiced it. So we are learning this together, as so often happens on this channel. Okay. The cover's off. Next, I need to take that screw out. So, let's see how difficult that is. Not very. All right, so what he said to do, come on, get in the frame, good grief. All right, what he said to do, take that gear off, then take this and turn it around. It's supposed to snap in there. Best I can tell, it did. It just didn't make a noise. Okay, now, of course, something always tries to run away. As I said. Okay, we put it in there. Well, this is not going as smoothly as he indicated it would. Come on, let's get the gear into position on this thing. On both of these things, actually. I'm having trouble with this thing. I'm sure you can see that. Come on. Get in there. And of course, this thing has to go rolling off every chance it gets. I see. We've got flattened sides. That's what we're dealing with. Okay. Put that in there. That does not look right. Mostly because it isn't. I put it back the way it already was. Doing great here. Editing is a beautiful thing. Okay, so we need to take this and turn it around. Like that. Now, we'll put that there. Fit that into it. Put the screw in. Again, remember my little trick. To get the threads engaged, turn it backwards about a quarter to a half turn. We are working. So, we put the cover back on. And it's still wrong. What did I do? Huh? Okay. What did I do wrong? Crying out loud. So let's get this thing turned around. Okay, I've got the cover off. So, we unscrew this. I said we turn this around like that. We put this back on. And tighten it up. And there we go. That's how it's supposed to fit. So, make sure that's nice and tight. Put the cover back on. And that one is in place. One to go. Way to poke a hole in your piano bench there, genius. And if the screw will stop coming to life and jumping out of my hand, we can finish this part. Like that. Seriously? I had no idea it was that easy. The last time we went to do this, I actually bought new machines. Now I know better. So, next thing to do is fasten them down. So the first step, I guess, is going to be to put this collar on. It's going to go right there. But yeah, unlike some that I've seen, these don't screw down to anything. These are Lee press-ons. They just kind of press in there. Now, the hole that this is going into is a tad big. So it's not fitting fully tight, but it's snug. So I'm going to call it good for now. If there's a problem, we'll deal with it later. right now, let's get the bloomin' thing assembled. And as I suspected, when I turned it over, it fell out. So that might require a little bit of adhesive, as they say. So first thing we're going to need to do is put some screws in this thing. And of course, part of the fun of doing this is finding the right size screwdriver. So let's get one started here. And we'll use it as a baseline. By the way, my little trick, turning the screw backwards to get it started, works for these kind too. So I'm going to go to opposite corners here. If you're putting a wood screw into an existing hole, if you turn it backwards a quarter to a half turn before you start, it will engage at least some of the old threads and make your task a little bit easier. Remember how I said the holes didn't line up exactly? Well, I don't know how well you can see here, but we have a slight problem. We're not straight. It's leaning down that way. Now, if they all set like that, that shouldn't be a problem. But when I put this one on and go to line it up with the holes, yeah, they're running into each other and we can't get over there. That tells me these are a slightly different size than the ones that were there before. It also tells me I'm going to have to take this thing out and I'm going to have to drill some new holes. So, let's see what we can do about that. What I'm going to have to do, I got these put in. But remember how I said when we were sanding it that this one hole was slightly out of round? Yeah, turns out it's worse than that. It's actually kind of reamed out, and this thing doesn't stay in it. They stay in the others. They're just the right size. But this hole apparently has been enlarged somehow, probably through somebody trying to do something and didn't know what they were doing. And so I'm going to have to figure out what to do about that. Now, I'm not going to put these things on here permanently until after we have finished treating the wood and all that stuff and have our varnish or whatever we're going to put on it on there. But I want to make sure these things are going to fit right before I do that, because I don't want to be scuffing up that finish, screwing around trying to plug holes or make new holes and all that stuff. So I want to take care of this now. And when I look back here, when I look at the other three holes, because obviously that one is going to need special treatment. I'm finding that these are going to be much more conducive to drilling new holes than that first one is. At least that one will. Let's take a look at the next one. So with those three in place, the first one here, yeah, it's all set for new holes. So is this one. I can position all three of these so that I can go into nice fresh wood. This one over here, perhaps not so much, because it's so close to the existing holes that I'm afraid if I try to drill, I'm going to keep slipping off the new one and into the old one and just end up with a reamed out mess. So I'm going to have to play with that a bit. But I will go ahead and do the other three while I can, because we may as well be ready for this. So let's do some prep work and we'll head to the drill press.